What's going on, Trailblazers? Sam here, back at it again for another video. And in today's video with 1.2 literally tomorrow, I wanted to give my finalized 1.1 tier list. So let's jump right into it. Now, let's just start off with the easy ones. Japard, easy S, best shielder in the game. If you don't have him, unfortunately, MOC is damn near impossible, unfortunately. I would imagine with Fu Xuan coming in 1.3, if you don't have Japard yet, she'll help. But if you have Japard right now, he's cracked. Best shield. If you run him with Yang Xing, it's fantastic. So yes, easy S tier. Bailu, I'm also going to keep in S tier. She's no longer the best healer. Luocha, I would say, has supplanted her, but she's still an amazing healer. She's lightning, so when she normal attacks, she can still break lightning enemies. She has a cleanse in her kit. She has really good passive healing. She has a revive in her kit as well, so I still think she's S tier. Bronya, I also still think is S tier. One of the best Harmony characters still. She boosts damage based off her crit damage, which is really easy to build for. She can kind of help you in a pinch if you need to fast forward like your healer or your shielder, for instance. I just think she brings so much versatility to pretty much every team she's in. I pretty much use her in every team I run in MOC, and she is correct. Sela, I still think Sela is S tier. I would argue she's still the best DPS in the game, specifically for single target, even though her multi AoE target is still pretty good. I think if you have Silverwolf, she's even more cracked. Obviously, you can run her with Bronya and Silverwolf. It's just nutty. I really like this character. She's my main DPS, and I think she will be for quite some time. Luocha, as I mentioned, I think he has supplanted Bailu as the best healer in the game. He scales off attack, so he gets some actual bonuses from characters like Yukong or Asta that boost attack. His scaling is crazy. Since you're building him for attack, he can actually do a little bit of damage. Is it great? No, but having a healer that can actually do some damage is very useful. When you use this burst, it can dispel buffs from enemies, which is really cracked. It's really good in the MOC when you're fighting the Mora guys because it can completely remove their revives. He can also cleanse, cracked, super cracked. I think he's going to be arguably the best healer for quite some time. And moving on over to Silverwolf, I think Silverwolf is S tier. I was fortunate enough to get this character. I think she's the best debuffer in the game. Her burst has a huge defense shred every time she's attacked. She can lower an enemy's defense speed or attack. If you have her with Sela, as I mentioned, you're basically winning the game because you can, as long as you're building against the enemy's weaknesses, pretty much guarantee quantum resistance or quantum weakness every time. Clara, I still think Clara is S tier. Unfortunately, I don't have her, and I would love to pair her with March 7th. I just think she's super cool. I think if you pair her with Sushan, you can kind of do some nutty physical teams. Like I said, if you pair her with March, it's just cracked. Really like this character. Mr. Sparog is an absolute beast. So yeah, I really like this character. I hope to get her soon. I've noticed that I have a lot of characters in S, so we'll mix it up. We're gonna go with QQ. I'm gonna put QQ at B. I know she can be pretty good. I know for people that don't have Sela, she's kind of your main quantum DPS right now. I think if you get Eidolons for her, you can definitely move her into A. I think she's adorable, but I don't like the RNG in her kit. I know, it's not the biggest deal, but for me, I really just like consistency with my characters, and unfortunately, I wouldn't say she brings it all the time. Sampo, I would say Sampo is B. Now, what's interesting with him, I'm curious to see if he gets more, use rate when Kafka comes out, because I think if you paired Kafka with like Serval and Sampo, it could be kind of nutty for DOT. So I'm really curious to see how that works out. But for now, I think he's B tier. He's fine. If you didn't really invest into Dan Hung, I think Sampo is fine. His burst is cool. He has a decent amount of AOE with his skill. but I don't think he's game changing or cracked or anything like that. We're gonna use this Trailblazer as the physical Trailblazer. I mean, I would put her C, D, E, F. It doesn't really matter. Nobody really uses the physical Trailblazer, unfortunately, just not very good for this current meta. Don't really see this character being used in the future, especially when we have Sushan and Clara, and I'm sure we're gonna get more physical characters. I'm actually gonna put in D, but yeah, just not very viable. And then we'll do Fire Trailblazer. I would say he is firmly in A. I think previously I'd put him in S, but Japard is just better in every single way. I think Fushuan will probably be better shielder as well. So he's still firmly in A, and a very well-rounded character, scales off attack and defense, can provide good shields, can be a good weakness breaker for physical I'm sorry, for fire enemies. But all in all, really solid character. Jing Yuan, I'm going to put in A. Jing Yuan is very cool. When he came out, I thought he was going to be really cracked. He's a lightning erudition AoE character. I just think I think Kafka is going to be better than him in pretty much every aspect. He's very cool. I was tempted to get him, like I said, but I just don't think he's like the most cracked 5-star. Serval, I think Serval is an A. I think if you get Eidolons for her, she's gonna be really cracked. I actually have her E6, and she puts in work. I'm really excited to pair her with Kafka and run like this Omega Shock team. So maybe she's B, and I'm just kind of hedging the needle here and putting her in A. But I do think she is a really solid character. She's kind of like baby Jing Yuan, and I think, like I said, when Kafka comes out, she's gonna be kind of nutty. Arlen, I think Arlen is probably B or C. We'll put him in B. It was kind of fun to use him in the most recent event and spam his burst. I think it's cool that all his abilities are based on his HP, and he lowers his HP in order to use his abilities, but just not that great, not great scaling. But he's fine. I mean, he's cool if you want to use him. I think he looks rad. I think his VA is pretty good, but all in all, I don't think he's really that great. Sushan's easy A tier. Arguably, the best pure physical DPS. Obviously, Clara is far superior, but she has other usabilities as well. She's kind of like mini Sela in a way, because when you use her burst, you get a expedite your turn again. I think if you get Eidolons for her, she's even more cracked, specifically E2 and E4 and E6. But I'm excited that she is on Blade's banner, because I wouldn't mind getting a few more Eidolons for her, because like I said, I don't have Clara. Hook. Now Hook I used to think was dog water, but Hook is actually A tier. She is a really good fire DPS. In some instances, I actually prefer her to Himiko. I have quite a few Eidolons of her. The only thing I haven't done, I just haven't built her because I just don't have enough resources. But she's really cracked. If you can get burn distributed to enemies pretty frequently, she can sweep. So I do think Hook is a very solid character. Yangqing, I do think, is A tier. The only ice DPS we have currently. I think if you pair him with Japard, it's pretty nutty. I do think when Jing Liu comes out, obviously he'll get significantly power crept, and I myself, I have Yangqing, so I won't be going for Jing Liu because I just don't want two ice characters, ice DPSs. But I do think he's really good. If you can prevent him from getting hit, he can definitely ramp up pretty drastically. And I've been really enjoying him in MOC and against ice weakness enemies. He kind of sweeps. So pretty solid character all around. We'll do Pella. I do think Pella is A. She's really solid. She can remove buffs from enemies. Her burst has a pretty good defense shred built in. I think if you get Eidolons for her, she ramps up as well. So all in all, I just think she's a really solid character. Now Welt, also I think Welt is A tier. He could arguably probably slide into S tier, but I'm going to keep him in A tier. Really solid imaginary character. I really like the imprisonment. You can basically, in certain instances, prevent the opposing team from even attacking you, which obviously is massive for survivability. But I don't have Welt, but I would love to have him, and I think he's a very solid character overall. Dan Hung, Danny Boy is tricky. I think if you know how to use him properly, he can be A. But I'm gonna put him in B. I think Blade is gonna just be better than him in pretty much every instance. I do think he's probably better than Sampo, but unless you're putting Sampo in a DOT team. But Dan is solid. You know what? We'll put Dan. No, I'm gonna keep him in B. I'm gonna keep him in B. You do have to kind of play around his abilities well. He can do pretty good damage. Like I said, if you've invested into him, I think he can definitely carry you against, wind weakness enemies like Kafka or the Mora guy. But all in all, solid character. But like I said, I think when Blade comes out, I don't think Dan Hung's usage will be much higher. It'll also be interesting to see, obviously his 5-star version is imaginary, but I just wonder if people are going to want to use or have two invested Dan Hung. So I'm curious to see about that. Asta, I think Asta is probably A tier still. Really good for weakness break, especially against fire-based enemies. Uh, I think when you get her E2, she becomes considerably better. I think without her E2, she could maybe be like high B tier, but all in all, really solid character. Her burst obviously increases speed. Like I said, when you have the stacks on her, boost attack. So all in all, really good character. I really enjoy Asta myself. Ting Yun, we know Ting Yun is cracked. How cracked is she? I'm gonna say she's probably pretty high A tier. Um, Obviously she can significantly increase your teammates' energy, their attack. She is squishy as hell, as we all know. That's the running meme that she, no matter what, always gets killed. But all in all, really solid character. Himiko is interesting. Like I said, I think in certain instances I prefer Hook, but I'm still gonna keep Himiko in A. Solid fire character. Um, when you run her with certain team comps, she can definitely do better than others. Uh, if you're fighting like trash mobs and you pair her with Herda, that can be kind of fun. But I do think she's gonna get power crept pretty hard as soon as we get any other fire DPS. So not too high on Himiko. I know she is mommy, and I have her myself, and I haven't really used her that much, mostly because I just don't have any resources. But I think she's fine. I think obviously if you invest in her, she'll be just fine for you. Yukong is really interesting. I thought this character was gonna be a lot better than she is. She's a little bit more niche than I would have thought. She's probably still A because she can boost, crit rate and crit damage, and as long as you're kind of optimizing, your rotation and your team order, she can provide a pretty significant boost. But I just think sometimes it doesn't always flow the nicest. Natasha is still A tier. I don't know how much longer she'll be here. I think obviously Luocha and Bailu are significantly better than her, but we also have Lynx coming down the pipe. I don't think Lynx is going to be like a traditional healer, but I'm curious to see how our newest 4-star, abundance character will operate. I do think Natasha, once we get more healers, whether they be 5 stars or 4 stars, will probably get, relatively scaled out of the game. Um, she really only has a cleanse in her kit, and unlike, like Bailu and Luocha, I don't think her like passive healing is really as good, and she doesn't have like a revive, or she can't dispel the enemies like Luocha. So all in all, obviously she is a 4-star and they're 5 stars, but I use Natasha. She's my second healer because I don't have Bailu, and I still use her tremendous amount. But all in all, I do think she is gonna be power crept pretty soon. Herda's B tier. I mean, you can build her and she can kind of do work for you. Like I said, if you're running against trash mobs, she can definitely work really well with Himiko. But all in all, I don't think she's that great. March is really interesting. I really like March. I think if you get Eidolons for her, she can be really effective, especially if you have Clara. She has a dispel. She has a cleanse in her kit, which can be pretty good. Her shields can get pretty bulky, so I am gonna put her in A tier, just kind of hedging a bit. I like that she has a little bit of versatility built into her kit overall. But yeah, I think that's it. As far as the future characters, not gonna touch them yet because we don't know their full kits yet. But all in all, I would say this is kind of my final 1.1 tier list. I think we have a lot of really solid characters, and I'm really excited for 1.2 to get Kafka and Blade and Luca, and I'm really excited for 1.3 and future patches as well. Comment down below. Do you think my tier list is good? Do you think it sucks? Would you agree? Who would you adjust around? But as always, I appreciate you all so much for joining, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.